Welcome to Ray's Chinese Movie, bringing you good Chinese stories on the screen. Hello everyone, this is Ray. In 1948, after anti-Japanese war, a young woman, Zhou Yuwen, and her frail husband, Dai Liyan, lived in a small southern town full of ruins. Such dilapidated towns abounded in post-war China. Yuwen's life was the same routine every day. Every morning after grocery and medicine shopping, she would take a walk along the broken city wall. It was a precious moment for her to breathe away from her spiritless home. If it was not for the grocery and the medicine she bought for her husband, she would have no reason to go back home. Yuwen's husband has a lung disease. He and she slept in 2 rooms, saw each other just a couple of times a day, and each time exchanged just a couple of words. The husband would hide in the garden after meals every day, looking at the broken bricks and tiles, trying to repair something, but more often he was just sighing in grief. The destroyed household and his bad health depressed him, and made him lose control of his emotions. Yuwen felt that her husband was more ill mentally than physically. She didn't have the courage to die, but Liyan seemed to have no courage to live. Liyan had a younger sister named Dai Xiu, who was completely different and was full of vigor and confidence in the future. After confronting the complaints and despair of her husband, Yuwen liked to spend her days embroidering in the sister's sunny room. This is the only place where she could find a bit life other than the city wall. Yuwen was prepared to live such plain life to death, until one day a guest came to her home and disrupted her stagnant life. The guest was an old classmate of Liyan, now an established doctor. The old servant Lao Huang invited the young lady to greet the guest. Yuwen felt nervous when she heard the guest's surname was Zhang. Maybe it was him, maybe not. She wished it was him, but feared it was really him. Yuwen looked from a distance, and it was really him, Zhang Zhicheng. He did not know that I was married to Liyan. Why did he come? Why should he come? How can I meet him? Yuwen pretended to be calm and walked in front of the 2 men. Zhicheng also turned his head from the chat with Liyan, and when he saw Yuwen's face clearly, he felt a sudden trembling in his heart. Liyan was very happy to learn that the 2 turned out to be from the same town. Then the group would have more to talk about. The arrival of Zhicheng brought bright sunshine to this liveless old house. Zhicheng's cheerful enthusiasm was in stark contrast to Liyan's gloom and depression. So much so that Dai Xiu, who is in her love-awakening, budding age, couldn't wait to sing for him. But Zhicheng was absent-minded. He was thinking about another person. After night 4, the person he cared about, the host lady Yuwen, came to his room with some evening supplies. They were polite to each other, but they both wanted to explore for more. After looking around the room, Yuwen insisted that Zhicheng needed another quilt. When coming back with the quilt, Yuwen replaced her qipao with a stylish outfit that matched Zhicheng's modern suit. Maybe even Zhicheng didn't notice what his arrival meant to Yuwen's depleted heart. The 2 chatted casually, both seemed waiting for the arrival of the midnight, because after 12 o'clock night alarm, the small town would have a power outage. The pure darkness made it unnecessary for them to disguise. The lights went out, and the 2 people who had the same minds looked at each other and smiled. But after a short while, Yuwen cried aggrievedly. Zhicheng was at a loss for a while, not knowing how to comfort her, but Yuwen waved her hands, sorted out her emotions, got up, and left in grace. The next day, they all went out for a walk together. Yuwen walked hesitantly behind. Zhicheng first stood still and waited for her. When Yuwen came up, Zhicheng took her hand inadvertently, but quickly let go after realizing the inappropriateness. But this instant move touched Yuwen, as she saw she was still in Zhicheng's heart. When the group went boating together, Yuwen's attention was all about Zhichen. She sometimes picks at him, and sometimes finds that Zhichen is picking at her. When the eyes of the two meet by chance, they will disperse in a panic. The next morning, Zhichen proposed to Yuwen, let's find an excuse and have a walk together. Yuwen smiled and silently accepted the invitation. On the dilapidated and empty city wall, a helpless feeling spread endlessly in the hearts of the two. They stayed for a long time without speaking. Zhichen finally couldn't help but speak. Shall we go somewhere else? Yuwen said. Whatever you want. You ask me to come out, and I will go wherever you tell me. This one sentence made Zhichen very emotional. You still have the same manner as before.
打仗以前，我叫你跟我一块走，你说随便我；我不叫你跟我一块走，你也说随便我。
这些话刚才不都说过了吗？我没等你，我没随便你。
假如现在我叫你跟我一块走，你也说随便我吗？
真的吗
？Zhichen's question about elopement made Yuwen's heart flutter. There was no need to hide anything anymore. Zhichen tried to hug Yuwen, but she just smiled away. While when they walked along the path in the wood, Yuwen initiatively leaned to him. They stick a while to each other, and then separated, and then stick again to each other. In this hesitated love game, they greedily enjoyed a life they had missed for so long. After returning, Zhichen outscouted Li Yan and found that Li Yan not only had lung disease, but also had a heart problem. For this kind of disease, a positive, peaceful mind would be more useful than medicines. But Li Yan told Zhichen that it was difficult for him to control his emotions, especially to his wife Yuwen.
不晓得怎么我现在的脾气变坏了，这还是身体的关系。我的太太人是再好也没有了，也就是因为我的身体，夫妻之间的关系弄得这样不正常。没什么不正常嘛，你不知道。凡是一个妻子应该做的事，她都做了，买菜、煮饭、管理家务，伺候我这样一个病妇。我是又感激又惭愧，我哭不出，当然我也笑不出。他呢，一个人会在房里流泪，在人面前没有一丝笑意。他对我只是尽责任。他冷，他越对我好，我越觉得他冷。你明白我的意思吗？明白。但是我不同意你这样想法。怎么？他并不冷。我们是多年的好朋友，你替我劝着他。我不晓得你们认识，如果她嫁的是你，多好啊！
Zhichen was startled by Li Yan's sudden hypothesis. Facing Li Yan, he felt guilty. One should never lust for a friend's wife, even if she used to be his. He changed the subject, but told Li Yan with certainty that Yuwen is not cold. At this moment, both Zhichen and Yuwen didn't know what to do next. Yuwen's heart is full of Zhichen, but she wouldn't want to hurt Li Yan. The two could not find a way out. Zhichen said helplessly, "Probably I should leave." But Yuwen suddenly said,
除非他死了。
Yuwen was startled by her own words. She never thought about that. How could she say such thing out? Zhichen was also shocked by this terrible thought. It seemed a high time for him to leave. Zhichen went to say goodbye to Li Yan, but Li Yan insisted on his stay, because he found that his little sister had developed a feeling for Zhichen, and he wanted him to stay for her. Proposed by Li Yan, Zhichen and Dai Xiu went for a walk along the city wall. Zhichen couldn't help but ask Dai Xiu, "Why you guys all like to come to the city wall?" Dai Xiu said,
这只有这一处好玩嘛，沿着城墙走就走不完的路，往城外一看，用眼睛死劲往远处看， 就知道天地不是那么小。张大哥，在我们这个小城里，尤其是像我们那样的家里，真会把人给憋死的。大嫂每天早上买菜都要到城头上来走一走的，也许那样能使他心里头松快一点，就是这点松快使他有勇气再活下去。
When they got home, Yuwen was already waiting. She was a little angry, not because Zhicheng went out with Dai Xiu, but because they went to the city wall, a tender place that belonged to her and Zhicheng. However, before the two could linger more on jealousy versus sweetness, Li Yan proposed to have a talk with Yuwen about Zhicheng, which made her quite nervous for a while. When she learned that her husband's intention was for her to match Zhicheng and a sister for marriage, she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But she also objected immediately, and even persuaded Li Yan to put it on hold because Dai Xiu was still young. Afterwards, Yuwen deliberately questioned Zhicheng. Zhicheng's refusal to this marriage made Yuwen feel happy. But then, the helpless mood suddenly rose again, spreading endlessly on the desolate city wall. Although they are in love, they still can't be together. Before, it was Yuwen's mother who disapproved it. Now she is dead, but Yuwen has a husband. In the evening, the whole household celebrated Dai Xiu's 16th birthday. They played the finger games to drink, and Li Yan lost. The servant Lao Huang was to drink on behalf of the patient who cannot really drink. But his wine glass was snatched by Yuwen. In the blink of eyes, she swallowed down 2 glasses of wine. She wanted to release her accumulated depression through the alcohol. Everyone was a little drunk. Zhicheng and Yuwen then played a finger game they used to play a long while ago when they were together. Seeing their tacit understanding and laughter, Li Yan felt that something was wrong. He had never seen his wife as happy in front of him. After a little thought, everything suddenly became clear, and Li Yan felt a pain in his heart. Yuwen had a headache and lied in her room. Singing a love song, Zhicheng found her in his drunkenness and took her hand emotionally, but was stopped and awakened by Dai Xiu. That night, after the 12 o'clock alarm, braven by the wine, Yuwen carefully dressed up and went to Zhicheng's room. When Zhicheng saw her coming, he went out and closed the door behind him and asked her to leave. But this time, Yuwen didn't want to go back. She just grabbed the door and forced into the room. Inside, Yuwen wanted to light a candle, but was stopped by Zhicheng. Looking at each other in the dark, the two couldn't hold themselves anymore. Zhicheng carried Yuwen and walked toward the bed, but suddenly he put her down. He hurried out, locked the door from the outside, and locked her inside. But Yuwen cried to come out. She punched and pleaded, and even smashed the glass on the door with her bare fist, so desperately as if she was to break out of all the confinements that suffocated her. Zhicheng bandaged Yuwen's bleeding hand and kissed her wound in sadness. But other than that, he didn't know what to do for her. After this painful stimulation, Yuwen also woke up.
谢谢你。
Yuwen left in despair. Shame filled her brain. She didn't know how to face people tomorrow. After this chaotic midnight, Zhicheng was also sleepless. He wanted to take a sleeping pill, but suddenly remembered that Yuwen might do something stupid. The emotional disillusion and the feeling of shame deeply rooted in a woman's mind by thousands of years of feudal ethics made many women choose to commit suicide in such circumstances. So he went to Li Yan's room, took away his usual sleeping pills, and replaced the whole bottle with vitamins. As soon as he left, Yuwen went to Li Yan for sleeping pills, but fortunately, Zhicheng took it away first. Yuwen wanted to leave, but Li Yan stopped his wife.
你知道我多么羡慕志成，年轻健康，家里有了他就像有了生命。这些年我害得你好苦，让你过没有希望的日子。难得今天我看见你这样的欢喜，你在喝酒的时候我看着你，你的青春还在。 我几乎忘记了你会是我的太太。我又想，我不该是你的丈夫。我得把病治好，我得活下去，要不如早一点死，不能再害你，是吗？告诉我，你现在是不是还在喜欢志成？说实话。
This night, none of the three had any sleep. Early next morning, Yu Wen climbed up the city wall again, totally wakened from the wine. She wanted to jump off, but the endless open world under the city wall, the refreshing morning breeze rushing her face, helped her heart grow bigger. And the thing that mattered seemed small. She didn't want to die, she had to live. She wants to change her life, and she wants to let Zhicheng go. Zhicheng also decided to leave on the same day. He told Li Yan that he almost did something terrible to him, but it was all his fault, and Yu Wen was nothing to blame. Li Yan did not blame Zhicheng, but insisted on his staying for one more day. Seeing from a distance Yu Wen crying when saying goodbye to Zhicheng, Li Yan made a decision to help them out. He swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills and fell asleep. Finding Li Yan deadly in his bed, Yu Wen couldn't help crying. She begged Zhicheng to save Li Yan. When he found out that Li Yan took the fake sleeping pills, Zhicheng was finally relieved. Li Yan woke up. Yu Wen made a decision to come back to him and match Zhicheng to Li Yan's sister. So when Dai Xiu came out and mentioned that brother Zhang was leaving, Yu Wen comforted her that they could meet again during the summer vacation. But the younger sister stopped her.
"嫂，你跟张大哥好是吗？""是的。""大嫂。
The next day, Zhicheng was leaving. Dai Xiu and Lao Huang went to see him off.
您说少爷的病会好吗？
会的。
张大哥，你几儿再来看他呀？
明年春天。
不，今年暑假。
Along the city wall, Yu Wen was taking a walk after grocery shopping. Li Yan, who was recovering, slowly came over to join her. They looked into the distance together and seemed to see a bigger world. Spring in a Small Town was written by Li Tianji and filmed in 1948 by Fei Mu, who was learned in both Chinese and Western cultures and is known as a poetic film director. In 2005, on the 100 years anniversary of Chinese films, the Hong Kong Film Awards named it the first place in the top 100 Chinese films over the century. The film took only 4 months from planning to completion, but was viewed as the best film ever shot in China by the famous director Zhang Yimou. The picture of the film has the beauty of Chinese classical poetry and painting, which is subtle and full of unspeakable charm. The story is concise but not simple. The lines and the performance of the characters all displayed typical Oriental beauty, full of implication and reservation. However, immediately after its publication till the end of the Cultural Revolution, Spring in the Small Town received more criticism than praise, as it was deemed as a love story out of tune with the mainstream fighting films of the wartime. A lot of people failed to understand this movie before 1980s. After 14 years of anti-Japanese war, the Japanese fascists surrendered in 1945. But the Chinese people's long-expected peace didn't arrive. In 1946, the civil war between Chinese National Party and the Chinese Communist Party restarted again. Where is China going? Does China still have a future? Yu Wen's hesitating stroke along the dilapidated small town spoke for the mood of the Chinese intellectuals who were at a loss at the time. In this film, in an enclosed space, the characters was reduced to the extreme. The flowing rhythm, the perspective, and the sound deeply depicted the depression and desolation of people's hearts. By telling an inappropriate love story, the creators care not just about the persons in love, but through the erotic war between one woman and two men, implicitly conveying its confrontation with the confusing problems China was facing. War and the new things were the destruction and challenge to the old order. The doctor paradoxically became the cause of the patient's suicide, but it activated his energy and brings a new turn to the old relationship. While conveying political concerns and understanding in their own way, the creators for Spring in a Small Town also successfully display the contradiction between the emotional world of the characters and their relationship in reality. Through the psychological movements of the characters, people's moral consciousness and the human beauty of Chinese intellectuals obeying adequate and moral norms were revealed and reflected. One can never lust for a friend's wife, or build his or her happiness on cost of other people's sorrow. Zhi Chen and Yu Wen's self-restraint to their desire for love was not the evidence of outdated moral norms. Instead, it shows the filmmaker's greatest respect for the value and order of traditional Chinese culture. At the end of the film, Zhi Chen leaves with the date of returning, and Li Yan joins Yu Wen in a walk along the city wall. Many people think that this means that Yu Wen will return to live more constructively with Li Yan, but I prefer to take the last scene as an open ending. Li Yan is actively recovering from his illness. After this incident, Yu Wen and Li Yan may have a new beginning as a couple. It is also possible that they will not be a happy couple as they were not married for love. But they can still be good friends and help each other to see a bigger world. Yu Wen and Zhi Chen may meet again in summer. Maybe they will be together, maybe not. But no matter what the outcome is, everyone can live a brighter life. I think this may be what the creators of Spring in a Small Town wanted to tell the Chinese people in 1948. Well, about the Chinese movie Spring in a Small Town, that's all for today. Thank you for watching Ray's Chinese Movies, bringing you good Chinese stories on the screen. If you like it, please consider to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you for your support. I will see you next time.